Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Awakening Generator. I'm your host, Rose. Today, I have with me Smiles Tamara. Hello, Smiles
Hello.
Tamara.
Hello. Thanks for inviting me, Rose.
You're very welcome. I'm so pleased to finally meet face to face because we've had a lot of conversations on the phone and not met face to face. And I've got to say, for the benefit of our audience, I love the energy of Smiles Tamara. She's amazing, very calm, very caring, and I say that with having met her today face to face for the first time. So imagine that energy is an amazing thing. It carries far, don't you think?
Sure does. It sure does. We're all connected.
Well, I want to say thank you to you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us anyway, because I know that you are multi-skilled. You do many things apart from what we're going to talk about today. Just going to move my piece of paper here so that I can look at what I'm talking about. So I'll tell you a little bit, and then I'll tell the audience a little bit, and then you'll tell us the rest, right? So Smiles Tamara is a facilitator of peaceful calm. Wow. I think you can tell us about what that means just very shortly, but please give us an introduction to yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 59, very excited to be 60 next year. So I'm very proud of that. And I was born in Ohio, in Toledo, Ohio, so American, and still very connected and proud of that. It's been a challenge with that. It's not always the best passport to hold. So
Yes,
it
yes.
has its own challenges, but it's interesting when I feel that, because I like to feel things. And I thought about getting rid of my passport, and I got really emotional.
Okay.
So I realized, yeah, which is good. So I realized that, I was born there. I'm American.
Exactly.
That's where I am. But I've been in New Zealand, immigrated here about 30, coming up 34 years ago. So it's fantastic. And I was in Texas, and I met a Kiwi guy, and he told me he lived in the South Pacific. So off I went. Sounded exotic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm a zoologist by trade. We were both zoologists, so we met with that trade, which is really interesting when you think about me working with people more now. As a zoologist, one of the things, other than cleaning and doing stuff with animals, there's a lot of behavioral observations and stuff. There's a lot of behavioralist would be one description. And it's really not that big of a stretch to have a zoological background of dealing with animal behaviors and then working with people, because it's very similar. So it's actually, I've always liked watching people. Even when we used to go to the malls as a young girl, and my girlfriends were all watching for the boys, and checking them out.
Yeah.
And I always felt a bit strange, because I was just watching people. I like watching how they moved, or who they were with, how they looked, how they felt, because you could feel how they felt.
Yes.
Whether they were, they're shopping in a mall, but it doesn't mean they're in a good mood. And so I just intuitively was fascinated by watching people.
Okay.
And what I didn't realize is I was also feeling people, and sometimes I'd find myself just kind of staring at somebody and thinking, gosh, you're not happy inside. You're doing the grind, you're here, you've got things to pick up at the mall, but there's something missing, and it was made me feel quite sad, to see that. Yeah. And they're pushing through it though,
Yes, absolutely.
And so I can reflect back on it now. At that point, I never took it any further. It was just there. And I didn't discuss it with a lot of people, because it was different. Like I said, my girlfriends were checking out the boys. And that's, it wasn't what I was interested in. So anyway, fast forward, was in Dallas and working at the zoo, and met this guy and came to New Zealand. And we ended up moving out from Auckland and came out and bought a going concern property. We both had a dream when we met to live not in a city. So it was great. We had the same vision. So we came out and we have a lifestyle block, and we were commercial flower growers for years. And yeah, and then my husband retrained to be a teacher.
Okay.
And I'm a school teacher. And meanwhile, I'd had was diagnosed back in Dallas with heart issues, but they didn't know what it was. They said, listen, you're young, so just there's something not quite right, but you just don't drink, don't take drugs, don't get overweight, don't get too stressed out, don't have caffeine, and see how it goes. And I'm thinking, I was like 21, and I said, didn't you just like ruin my life? You do.
Exactly.
I'm not allowed to have junk food or get stressed or have caffeine or any alcohol. I was like 21 in Dallas, and so I thought, oh, that was interesting. Anyway, so I just kind of parked it and carried on with basically just doing what I was doing. And then, but then fast forward here, I had some issues with my health in my mid-30s and was given, they found out that I had a heart issue that needed to, they didn't know how to fix, but they had an experimental surgery. So they said I could either die in a week, most likely, or try this experimental surgery. And I was like, and I had 2 young boys.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was like, okay, should we give that thing a go? Oh, it sounds scary, but so does dying next week. So I wasn't happy with either, really. I didn't really feel like I had a choice.
Yeah.
I actually didn't really want either option, but I didn't know back then that there might have been other options to work with myself.
Yes.
Anyway, so I did that, but meanwhile, I also knew that I needed to look at how did I get there? How did I get to that point? And could there be something? Should I be doing something more myself? Which I wasn't. And they were quite honest. They said, "Listen, I was only like in my mid-30s, and they said, listen, you've burned your body out. You're pushing too hard. You're doing too much." And talking about that, we were talking about being busy, being a busy person.
Yes.
And that's probably me. And it can have consequences. It's great to be busy, but it can also be have a problem. So I looked up, because before I went in for surgery, I had this thing on my toe. And I went to the doctor, and they did a biopsy, thought it was cancer, and it turned out to be chilblains, which was really. And so I Googled, I did a Dr. Google, as you do.
Yes.
And I Googled chilblains, and it recommended that I had circulation issues, and then maybe I should try some exercise. And it actually gave Tai Chi as an example. So like, Dr. Google said to try Tai Chi. So I went and found a Tai Chi instructor, had to look for a few things, and then I ended up going on. A girlfriend of mine wanted to go to this woman's Qigong workshop, and I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. Anyway, so I went to it, and I was freaked out on the way there because I read the little brochure. She wouldn't show it to me ahead of time, but I saw it in the car, and I wanted to jump out at the motorway in Drury, because there was going to be a breast massage. And I thought, listen, I'm not doing that in front of public. No, I wouldn't. No, let me out of the car. I'm not, I was like freaking out the whole time. And anyway, what was interesting, fast forward again, by the end of the day, and that was all done so respectfully, beautifully, with our clothes on. We didn't all get naked. It wasn't one of those things. That by the end of the day, I signed up to train to be an instructor. So in the beginning of the day, I was going to jump out of the car. By the end of the day, I'd signed up to train to be an instructor. So it was quite a flip. And I just thought, wow, other people need to know these things. I need to learn it. I need to share it. And that's what I need to be doing. So that was back in 1999. That's when it kind of started on that journey of me saying, right, it's not okay to just turn up to the doctor and say, hey, flop on the table and say, fix me. I'm not going to do anything for myself. I'm not. I was pretty healthy, but obviously I could do more, and my body needed for me to do more. My body needed me to step up.
Yes.
And I hadn't been. I was one of those things where I would just, something was wrong, then you go to somebody and they fix you or tell you what to do. I didn't do a lot of self-discovery or anything like that. So it was it's a good wake-up call.
Yes.
And I often think now I'm so grateful for my heart having an issue. And I did have the surgery, and that was really good. I didn't die, so it was good. And so I'm really grateful for that, because I believe that that was what my body needed as a catalyst to maybe wake me up,
Yes.
to put me on my journey. I wasn't on my right path. I
Yeah.
was going off the rails too much, and it I really feel that that moment focused me on what I'm doing now. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for that. Yes, I learned Qigong. I was a Qigong instructor trained first, and then while I was doing Tai Chi, and then did some work with ACC as a falls prevention provider. So I do work with a lot of seniors, mostly because I prefer to teach during the day. I like to be with my husband and family at night.
Yeah.
We have two older sons now, 20, 29 and 26, wonderful, wonderful human souls. Very proud of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got on our lifestyle block, I've got son and daughter-in-law living here in a flat, and then my father as well. So we've got multi-generational property, which we're really, really happy about.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good to have family living and living nearby, and you know, the older generation, as well as you being, you know, where you are, and then children, and who knows, grandchildren might follow at some point, and everybody, no, yeah, fingers crossed, everybody living together, and understanding the different dynamics of the age groups, and what the older ones have to pass on to the younger ones, because that is necessary. We are having new generations, obviously, but
Yeah.
the older generations do have a lot to pass on to the younger ones, and we must not forget that. That's a very important aspect of living and being alive on the planet, and going on from there, because not everything that's go on, sorry.
No, also the nurturing aspect. So at the moment, my father being here, his is more of a needing to be nurtured, because he's been unwell for years, and so also seeing that and having that responsibility of, you know, of helping with that nurturing. You know, you might be thinking, oh no, I'd rather go do this, or I'd rather go do that, and I'm like, well, you know, your grandfather needs to be checked on. You know, he might need to be picked up off the floor, or he might need to have this or that, you know. And so also that just kind of stepping up, seeing that responsibility, because so many people in the world now are very secular. You know, they've lost that kind of connection of the whole age range of when you're starting and when you're ending it, and what that entails, and the responsibility. So it's good for everybody to be involved in that.
It's very good. It gives the younger ones an opportunity to be honorable.
Yeah.
And also having the different generations around mean, what, for want of a better word, humility, humbleness, empathy, all of those things, and sort of it's educating, it's giving them value for life in understanding dynamics of relationships. So I think that's really beautiful. That's an amazing thing. As long as the old generation can live at home, I think they should be allowed to do that. You know, not put them into retirement villages, and we see them once in a month, because that's so disconnected. I don't have anything against retirement villages, but I feel because some people have no choice, they have to do that. But there is something wonderful about having grandmother or grandfather there, and just to have that connection, which is a very beautiful connection anyway.
Yeah.
So
so that's kind of where I'm from. I've got a very mixed heritage.
yes.
I was actually, somebody sneezed in class today. I was teaching Tai Chi and Wayuku, and somebody sneezed, and I said Gesundheit. And and I wondered if anybody knew what it was, because it was funny, because it wasn't till I came to New Zealand. I was actually somewhere, and somebody sneezed, and I said Gesundheit, and they said Speckle Deutsch, you know, do you speak German? I'm like, no. They said, well, you just did. I said, no, I didn't. I was just like the same as bless you. And all those years I didn't. My grandmother used to say Gesundheit, and I never realized it was a German word. I just thought that's what you said when somebody said,
yes.
how do you know it's another language?
Yeah.
You know, and so so on my grandmother's side, on my dad's side, there's German, and
Right.
lovely name. It was originally Liebengut, but it wasn't very fashionable to have a German name in the States back then.
Yes.
But Yeah, and so they changed it to live and good, but the Leben good actually means living good. And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
that's a
Wow.
lovely, so to have, it's actually a lovely name. So
It's a
living
beautiful
good,
name. Yeah.
grandmother's name, living good.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Pretty cool to have a name like that. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, the typical kind of got English from one side and quite a lot of Scottish.
Okay.
And then some Cherokee Indian, which was Salagi. Cherokee is kind of a white person's name, I suppose.
Yes.
Colonial way to say it.
Yes.
And there's even other ways other than Salagi. And that was never really talked about. That was like my grandmother, the one that was German, used to, if anybody mentioned certain names of the family, they're like, oh, we don't talk about it.
Okay.
That's the dirty blacks in the family.
Oops.
Quite a bit of racism there, and which never sat well with me. But so it was very hard to get information. It wasn't until I was a bit older and was doing genealogy that I was able to talk to some members of the family and
Yeah.
get that. But I always kind of felt it. It doesn't really matter. And I don't like to throw it around as if like, oh, I'm Native American, like it's some token, because I think that's kind of fake, you know.
It's different again. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a feeling. So I do
Yeah.
feel it.
That's good. That's good. We're going to talk about your Native American heritage very shortly. But before we get to that, please tell us what I called it peaceful, I beg your pardon, facilitator of peaceful calm. Now, this I figure out is coming through your teaching of Tai Chi, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I would say
So,
Tai Chi, Qigong.
yeah. So tell me then, facilitator of peaceful calm, because you were saying something about smiles earlier. And I liked that before we went to record. And I felt very, because your name's got smiles in it. And I'm going to come back to that even when we talk about your Native American heritage, because I have a question about it. But please tell us about this facilitator of peaceful calm and smiles.
Yeah, well, I think, and I was talking to somebody else today about walking the talk, and that we can learn a lot of things and we can say a lot of things, but we really need to walk the talk. And I think so one of the main things of Qigong, and Tai Chi is a type of Qigong, but
Yes.
Qigong isn't necessarily Tai Chi, if that
Okay.
makes any sense. It's one of those double
Yes. Yes.
meanings. So Qigong is about 5,000 years old, and plus that's just what's written down. Tai Chi is a baby kind of that. It's only about
Okay.
750 years old.
Okay.
So if you think of Qigong as the Chinese health system is the tree trunk and the roots is Qigong. Qi is the energy in our body. Gong is working with. So it's the same word as Reiki. So which is
Okay.
Korean based. It's Reiki is the same. It's Rei is working with and Qi is Qi. So it's just kind of reversed, but it's basically the word Reiki and Qigong is the same. So working with your energy is the base of Qigong. And then if you want to think of the branches, so you have one branch could be Tai Chi. One branch is Chinese herbs and medicine. One's acupressure, meditation, Qigong healing. So you can have Qigong practitioners like Reiki. So that's all part of that. And what all of that you're trying to do is to probably get that peaceful calm. So you're trying to have it, and it's an internal thing. So it's very much internal. So not as much focus with the external, and oh, what color is my hair, and do I paint my nails, and all that. That's fine. There's no judgment. But what have you colored on the inside? You know. So we decorate our house. We clean the car. We clean our clothes. We wash our hair. We do our dishes. We do this. But do you do any work inside? Do you have that peaceful calm inside? And so what can you do? So it's about finding tools in your toolbox to try to get that. Nobody's perfect. Like, I have bad days. Goodness me, yep, and I'll lose the plot. And I know straight away I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got all these tools. I need to use them. I teach it, and I really need to to do that as well. But yeah, so I'm mortal. So I'm working my way, navigating through it as well, but trying to find that peaceful calm so that we can, instead of being reactive, things can just flow off us, you know, things can come at us and they're not going to smash into you because you've got this peaceful calm. So if you think of water, so when something is in water, say it's actually floating in water, and energy comes on either side, the thing floating in the water is still just floating in the water, you know? And so it's about trying to find that like peaceful calm, like you're just in that nice, gentle, supported, because like when you're in water, you are very supported, eh? It's a lovely feeling.
Yes.
And finding that, so that regardless what's coming at you, you've always got that peaceful calm. But it's not a pill. You can't like pop a pill. I haven't found the fairy dust. If anybody has, if anybody found the Tinkerbell dust or the magic wand, but I think what it comes to is we have to do it ourselves. And
Yes.
it's going to look different for everybody. And it does, you know, whether you do it through yoga or Zumba or walking in the park or swimming or surfing or painting or cooking, or, you know, there's lots of ways to do it. There's not like, oh, you have to do it this way. And I think that's where things have kind of gone off track. I think a lot of people think, oh, you have to do this, and if you don't do this, then you're not going to get that. I personally don't believe in that. I think there's lots of different ways to achieve that.
Yes, I agree with that. I definitely feel that we have come here to experience the planet. And if we think that we want to follow regimented ideas, everybody do the same thing, then we're not actually exploring all the possibilities. And we're not even looking within ourselves to see what exactly resonates with us. And that's what I think your peaceful calm will bring you. What exactly, you'll start to hear the voice within you, right? What exactly do I resonate with? Oh, okay, so this is coming at me. How do I want to keep floating? You know, and doing it in a beautiful way. Well, if I get within and I keep myself in that space, in the balanced space, then I'm going to be having peaceful calm. And peaceful calm means I can think in a more creative way and understand what I need for myself, because what it's actually going to do is it's going to connect you to the greater self that you are. Well, that's just me, you know, off the bat, but yeah.
And it gives you that resilience. So I think that's what a lot of people lack, is resilience. So something comes at them and it throws them. You're knocked around. You're just knocked around. People are knocked around. And so I think if you've got that base, if you have that peaceful calm inside you, then as things come at you emotionally, physically, jobs, relationships, anything, you can deal with it, you know, because you've got that. And so, and I think that's what's lacking with a lot of people, is they haven't looked in there, they haven't looked within, they haven't created that smile within. And usually they know. I mean, most people, you can tell if you can tell if they're fake, kind of, you know, and they're not doing it on purpose. They just haven't, they're too frightened. I think there's too many people that are worried about what other people are looking at, you know, like even in my class, I love if I can find a venue where there's mirrors, because it's so good to look at the mirror. And so if I'm saying, you know, have your left hand and your, you know, your right hand, whatever, and your fingers are pointing up and their fingers are this way, and I say, oh, everybody put your fingers up, and some people have them every which way. You know, if you have mirrors, they can say, oh, everybody's doing this, and
that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's like, because so many people are just, they're not in their body at all. They've got no idea. The mind and body connection is such a disconnect. It's been chopped off time that it's the mind and body. It's trying to bring that mind and body back together. And so, but anyway, the biggest thing about the mirrors is like, oh no, I don't want people to see me. I'm like, well, you're standing in class. Everybody's seeing you. The mirrors don't change that. It just means you can see yourself. But it's that vainness, and I don't mean that in a mean way. We're so worried about what other people will think. We're spending so much energy doing that when basically they should be just saying, you know, I'm here for me. You know, I say, listen, you're here for you. That's what you're here for. This is you time.
Yes, yes, indeed. I feel like mirrors are there for us to see ourselves, where yourself was saying to you, I see you, look at you, look at
Yeah.
me, you know,
Yeah.
because quite often we never really look at ourselves in the mirror, right? We're always so busy doing, a lot of us are busy doing stuff. And
Yeah.
you never take time to really look at yourself, to look at all of you. There is something powerful. There's something beautiful in looking at yourself. And it's nice to see your physical self more often. And that's not being vain. That's just saying, I see myself. I see my physical self. Because I sometimes find myself surprised at how I look.
Mhm.
You know, especially my body, because I don't often see my body. My mirror is such that I
Yeah.
see myself from, you know, halfway up more than I see my whole body. And I think, oh, okay, so that's how you look. It's
Yeah.
important to be reminded of who you are and how you look. I mean, this is a totally different topic, I know, but I think that what you're saying is very important because it's nice to remember it. Because we can forget how we look. I found that with myself. I can forget how I look because I'm
Yeah.
so caught up in my mind with everything that's going on that I'm thinking I look like I'm thinking. You know, the thoughts I'm having. Do you know what I mean? Like the thoughts I'm having.
Steam coming on top.
Yeah, yeah. And if I feel like, okay, if on that day I wasn't feeling so great that day, then I feel like, oh, I must look like I think. And if I looked at myself, then I might feel very differently about that. It's a very weird psychology, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's
I've
important to
got
see
some
ourselves.
homework that I give to everybody. So we'll pretend like it's Valentine's Day, shall we? And so this is my Valentine's homework, and I'll give you this challenge, even for you, Rose. You'll have to let me
Okay.
know if you do it. So what I do every year on Valentine's Day, and I'll sneak it in some other times, is I ask all my students to go home and to look in the mirror. I said you can shut the door if you need to, if you want to. And I said I want you to look at yourself and say, so like I would go to the mirror and I would look at myself and say, Tamara, I love you. I love you. To yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the eyes and say, I love you. But say your name, you know, and do it. And whoa, is it challenging? People are like, oh, yeah, I can, yeah, yeah. So there you go, everybody. there's,
Yes. Guys, you're
and
gonna have to try that. Definitely gonna have to
if,
try that.
if it's easy, that's great. If it's not easy, or you even avoid it, you're like, oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, she did ask me to do that. I forgot, you know. Why are you avoiding it? And then if you did it and it felt so awkward, what was awkward? You know, we can say other people, you go to your partner, you go to your kids, you go to somebody, a friend, oh, I love you, I miss you, I haven't seen you in ages. Do you look in the mirror and say, you know, Rose, I love you, you know, and just really look in your own eyes and say it,
Yes.
you know, look
Yes.
inside. That's about going within, you know,
Very important.
just, yeah. So see
Yeah.
how people think of that.
Oh my gosh, I have done that in the past because it was a concept that I came across the first time with Louise Hay, listening to some of the
Yeah.
works of Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer. And
Yeah.
and I thought, wow, that is actually, oh, really, do I want to, why do I need to tell you that? You know, it was just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we do struggle to tell ourselves that,
Yeah.
you know, I love you, Rose, I love you, or, you know, it's important that the love starts with self first
Yeah.
before it goes anywhere else. And self, if it's be selfish, it is good to be selfish. I know that people say that's a negative thing. Oh, you're such a selfish person, as if it's a bad thing. But it's very important to be selfish because when you're selfish, you're about making sure that self is okay.
Yeah.
It's
You can
it's
call it
not about
self-care. If you make it feel more comfortable, you can say self-care. If you don't like
self-care. Yes, that's a good
you can say
point.
that. If you don't like selfish, you can say self-care.
Yeah, it's about self-care. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. I'm going to try that. My past experience of it definitely was a journey, and I know that I stuck with it for a while, and it took me some time to really smile about Rose, I love you. You
Mm.
know, but the thing is, I have to say that to me. We have to say that to ourselves because if we don't, who else is going to? Don't depend on the outside world for it because
Yeah.
you know, self love, self care is self acceptance. I am who I am, and I love who I am. And even if it may not be perfect by any standard, mine or other people's or whatever, I'm on the journey to myself. And in that process, I'll find me.
And I was just talking to my class this morning. We were doing some discussion about diabetes. And so we were actually getting into our pancreas today, class. Okay. So I was getting people to, talk to because I say to people all the time, people think I'm very strange. And I'll say, listen, who said good morning to the pancreas today? And everybody looking around. And this woman's crazy. But you do, you say good morning to everybody else, and you've got this pancreas. How many years I've had my pancreas here for 59 years, and do you say hi to your pancreas? Do you know where it is? What does it do? So anyway, today was the pancreas day. We were just getting into our pancreas.
Okay. Nice. I love it.
Do your heart. The heart's easy, you can go there, but some people just don't talk to their spleen. They're like, oh, where's the spleen? And I'll often say to them, show me, point to me your spleen. I'll start easy. I'm not mean. I'll say, everybody put their hand on their heart, do that. And sometimes it's a bit off, but mostly good. And I'll say, what about your lungs? And they're like, yep, okay, good. And then I might head to the kidneys and see if we can get a few people not to have it too south, not on your buttocks. It's up a bit higher, usually the kidneys.
Yes.
And anyway, then I'll say, where's the spleen? And they're just like, waiting for somebody else to point to see somebody else in class. And then I'll say, right, listen, let's just go back to this. And I'll say, can you point to me where the grocery store is in town? And they all, boop. Yeah. And I'll say, right, point to me where's Auckland? And boop, they all pointed, great. I said, right, so now point to me where your spleen is. I said, do you know where the grocery store is? You know where the warehouse is? You know where Auckland is? Where's your spleen? How many years have you had it? And you don't even know where it is, Goodness sakes. So it is funny that we spend so much time about all these other things, and we have this universe, this beautiful universe inside of us, and we know nothing about it.
Wow, you make such a good point about that, because I can tell you, I think I know where my spleen is. I'm not so sure yet, but yeah.
Can I tell you a little secret about the
spleen and gallbladder?
Yeah, the spleen is so gorgeous. So it's on the left-hand side, kind of sandwiched in between, behind the pancreas, and you've got your kidney, and it's tucked in there, about the size of your fist. There's so many things the size of your fist. You've got kidneys the size of your fist. You've got heart the size of your fist. For women, your uterus, when there's not a baby in it, about the size of your fist. Your stomach is the size of your fist, unless it's like Christmas Day, so don't come down. But a bit different on them. Sorry. But so it's so the spleen's in there, and it's got lovely things, like I'll say, do you know that it holds 250 mils of blood? So say you had an emergency and you're just about to go, your body, your spleen will release that 250 mils to give you another chance of somebody. So, and it's just constant replay. It does other stuff as well, but it's just like there's so many cool things, It's like I said, there's this universe inside of us, and we all have it. It's, you can call it a vessel or a vehicle, the body, and depending on what your beliefs are, I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that I have a soul, and I try really hard to connect with my soul. Sometimes sometimes I ignore her. I feel or it, I don't know if it's got a gender, but I do try to listen. I do need to practice that a bit more, but and I believe that I'm in this body, but like if I want to work on my soul and work on that peaceful calm and work on that smile within, then I need to look after my vehicle, my vessel, my body.
Yes.
As well. And some of that's just, thinking about it. And like I said, it's like get up in the morning and like, hey, I'm here. Hello, love you. Hey, Tamara, love you. Another day. What are we going to do? Hey, heart, how's it going? Kidneys, should I get a glass of water, help you out a bit, And liver, did you do some detoxifying last night? Thank you. Lots of
I'll just drink the water and clear it out. All the detoxification.
Well, and I think just sending that gratitude.
We don't not all of us, but a lot of us don't have that appreciation for the vehicle that we are in. Because I believe we are spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Yep.
So, the vehicle, and it takes things like sickness or something happening, because even with me, you were telling your story about how you started to pay attention to your body. I also had a health issue, and that kind of made me stop and think about what I was putting into my body, the kind of stress levels I was having, because I was just like expecting a lot of myself. I was burning the midnight oil. I was always doing stuff, not thinking that maybe this was not the best way to be. I just wanted to be up and about and doing all that stuff. But we forget that the body's going to tell us when it doesn't like what we're doing. And it tells us in various ways. So, there should be a high regard for body more than it is right now, because, the body carries the memories of the past at a cellular level. I know I sounded very cliched with that, but it's true.
No, I believe it.
That's why it manifests in sickness and things like that when you haven't dealt with things from past lives, from childhood or whatever. So it's a very important vehicle, and more and more we're finding, when you think about all the level of health issues that we have on the planet or even in our communities, the body is saying no more, no more. You pay attention to me, or you're just going to be sick if you don't deal with the things that you're not dealing with. So yeah. So I want to talk about this Native American heritage. I know you said it wasn't something you talked about a lot, obviously, because of having grown up, where it was like, okay, that's a part of us we don't really talk about. But what tell us about was it Salagar? Can you tell us anything about them?
Salagar, that's just the name. So that is a name. One of the names before Cherokee. I think they just probably couldn't say Salagar.
Cherokee. Oh, right. Okay, so Salagar was the original name, and Cherokee became.
There's actually other names, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the names that people use. I mean, Cherokee Nation, they accept it, they agree with it. So it was easier, I suppose. And so they were one of the 5 Indian nations, one of the first ones that were designated as humans and not animals. So aren't they like?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay, there was only 5 early on, and so Cherokee, they were one of the first 5 tribes that were designated or allowed to be called humans. So that was some of the problems with doing genealogy too, is because when I went back so far, because if you weren't human, you weren't allowed to be on census forms. So in the States, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I can trace back a lot of my family, and I know where there's the gaps because they weren't considered human. So they were. It's like you wouldn't put your dog down on the census form. So
yeah, well.
So if your wife was Native American Indian back then, they wouldn't be on the form because, like I said, you're not going to put your dogs, so you're not going to put the other animals down on the form. But
sorry.
it's quite heavy, and it's so my family, from what I can trace, is part of the Trail of Tears, which was a very, you could do some Google search about Trail of Tears, but basically Cherokees were over in the Smoky Mountains.
Yes.
The Tennessee area, and of course that part of the eastern part of the states was wanting more colonization coming in, and these pesky Indians were in the way. So somebody said, right, let's just move them over to like Oklahoma. So if you look at the map of the states, you've got Tennessee and you've got Oklahoma. So you could just go straight, but they decided in the winter to go up towards Ohio.
Okay.
And the main reason was that is hoping that as many would die off as possible. So the Trail of Tears was like a cattle drive. Basically, it was a cattle drive. We're moving our cattle from this station to that station because we need that land, and so we're going to move the cattle. We don't really care about them, so if we take them, it'll be more die if they go up north. So a lot of them did die.
Okay.
My great how many greats go back? Grandmother was born on the Trail of Tears. Parents were dying or like almost found dead, and a German couple was given the baby. Yeah, so that's where that bloodline came from. It's from so the parents would have died up the Ohio River. So, and I come from Toledo, so that's where the Ohio connection came in with the Cherokee part of the Trail of Tears. So it's quite sad in many ways, but it is, it was that, whatever that journey was, and I'm very grateful for those settlers that took the baby. It would have been challenging to take on, as a white German couple, to take on a Indian baby. So it wasn't like a good thing, especially in the north, because like in the north they didn't have slaves, so it's not like in the south they'd be like, oh, you've got another slave baby, you can raise a slave. So and my family were also part of the Underground Railway, so I'm quite proud of that. So part of my family in Ohio and in Pennsylvania had the houses that helped the slaves escape from the south. So that's quite cool. Yeah,
that's quite cool. That is quite cool. I feel so emotional after that.
Yeah, and so there's feathers. So my American Indian guide is white feather.
Oh wow.
And what is amazing, and it still happens, and whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter, I believe. And white feathers will show up. Like the first time it happened, there was a lot going on. It was right back when I was early on, when I was having that heart trouble. And I don't know where it came from. In the middle of the hallway, there's this ginormous white feather. It was in there, and the doors are shut. Where's the feather come from? There's no feathers in the house. It wasn't a feather from like a feather pillow or a duvet. It was a big white feather, and it was this beautiful white feather, like from a egret or something. It was wolf. I still have it.
Yeah, good.
And I don't know if is it here. No. Anyway, and but what happens now is often when I need to pay attention, or I need to focus, or there's something I need to think about, I'll be walking down the street of Pukekohe or something, and boom, there's a white feather right there. Or it'll be in the hallway. Or I'll get in my car and there's a white feather on my seat. It's really bizarre. And I'm like, and then I go think, okay, what am I supposed to be paying attention to? So it's kind of this little guy, these white feathers just pop up. So, and then I've got to work out the clues.
So do you call your guide white feather?
I do, for lack of other. That's just that's what
it makes a lot of sense. It would have been it's a Native American guide, and they would have given such a name to a child, for example. That is culturally what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm feeling so emotional right now. The Trail of Tears, is that what it's called?
Trail of Tears, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard this before. I've heard this before. Someone else has told me. I don't know where I know of this, but I've heard that before. They could have gone straight across. They went north and came back south, and that the intention was that more people would die. And I don't remember about this part about they were not considered human and therefore not put on a census form. It might have been that I'd done a project when I was in school. I'd done a project on Native American tribes.
Yeah.
And when you say 5 tribes, I remember now that there were 5 tribes that I was talking about. Cherokee was one of them, but also Algonquin, I think is how you say it. And I think the Algonquin were the ones closer to Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
If my memory serves me. Iroquois. That's right. Yeah. So that was, and it's, so one of them was, so the Iroquois were closer to Canada, is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of, and you think the name is again, that's Iroquois is a name that was given. It even sounds more French, doesn't it?
Yeah, Iroquois. This is true.
Yeah.
So I feel, wow, the things that our people have gone through. Sometimes you have to wonder. But anyway, we will carry on.
Well, I feel me too. I feel honored, that there's, in what I hope and I pray for. And I'm thinking, going back to that peaceful calm, I think if more of us could more quickly find out why we're here, what are we doing here, having that peaceful calm, having these little tools in our toolbox so that we can actually make the best use of this time now. Because what I hope for us as humanity is that, and we're not going to continually repeat these things, which we are doing now. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll think, have we learned anything? Are we, as a collective world, are we better off? Sometimes I wonder. But then, carry on. I'm like, right, okay, I do, that whole, I can't remember what it's called, the thing where it's called the smile starter, if you have a smile and you carry it on and you're smiling and stuff.
And you keep smiling at everybody else. The next person smiles,
Yeah, and I talk about love a lot. Probably, I've always done that. But in the last 3 years, probably with COVID and stuff, I've probably brought it up a lot more, and I will say to people, can you imagine if we all came from love? If we all, everything we said, we connect in Chinese medicine, your heart is connected with your tongue. That's your sense. Like your kidneys are connected with your ears and your liver is connected with your eyes. And so we say, listen to your kidney, and with your kidneys, and you'll say with the liver, look into your liver, and your tongue connected to your heart. So we say if everybody connected with their heart before they use their tongue, and they went from love and joy and compassion, love, joy, compassion, every time their tongue was used. Can you imagine how beautiful that would be in the world? It seems so simple. Doesn't it seem simple?
It is. It is very simple. It is a simple thing. And I mean,
maybe it is that simple.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up and not operate, not speak from love. I mean, we've all done it one time or the other, some of us more times than we want to remember. But we have to evolve, because I say we have to. I think it's important for us to be thinking about how we want to do this differently. Because what you just told me now, it was so sad to hear what you said. Currently, what's going on in the world, currently the stories that are going on, and where there is smoke, there has to be fire. We cannot, for example, and this is gory what I'm about to say, but we cannot think that there aren't children held in captivity that we don't know about. We cannot think these are all hairy flary stories, because there cannot be that much stories going around without any truth in it. And so over time, we have found one way or the other to torture, to hurt, to not act from the platform of love for whatever reason. And I am of the belief that this, and for me, I've been saying it for a while now, this for me is my last time I'm doing this. I've done this many times. And therefore, I mean, I don't know that I actually get that, because my soul gets to decide that at the end. However, I have said, and sometimes I wonder if, because I feel that I want this to be the last time, that things are so intense in my life sometimes, and that I guess that will be it. But I have been on the planet many times, like you probably have too. And, I have Native American connections myself in past lives. And so this is why I've been so interested in Native Americans in this lifetime, and I feel like I've been here so many times, done so many things, been in Lemuria, been in Atlantis, done all that there. And now is the time, things are really intense and really coming to the forefront, because we need to do that complete transformation. What I'm learning is, unfortunately, not all of us will do the transformation. And that makes me sad, because you think, but then I'm also reminded all of us have different soul contracts. So there's that aspect of it as well. And so perhaps those of us that don't make it this time, it's because we still have to go through the transformation process. And we have to believe everything is okay. But I think suffering, some of the things that you see that's happening to animals, that the pain and the suffering is not a very good thing attached to this planet. Unfortunately, that's what it, and souls that come here go through a very tough time. It's such a planet of dealing with karma.
But it's a
But
good opportunity for us, and it's whether we
yeah,
take it or I said to a friend recently, and I don't always have the best filter. And as I've gotten older, my filter is getting a little bit more thin.
yeah, yeah,
And so there was something going on, and I just said, listen, I think all of us, myself included, and I was talking to her as a friend, and I said, I'm saying this from love. And I said, but we have to sort it now. Now's the sorting. We need to
yeah,
do the sorting. We
yeah.
need to do the work. We need to sort it. And it's we can just keep going and getting your nails painted and having endless lattes of distraction. But I think, are we sorting that stuff? Are we, you think of what goes in. Do you ever watch, like, I don't have caffeine because I did listen. That was the one thing I stopped when that
Okay. Yeah.
cardio was when I was 21. So I thought, okay, I won't have caffeine because it never made me feel good, and I didn't know why. So that was one
Okay.
way. But so I have a huge struggle with the caffeine addiction in the world. But I have my own suspicion that it's happened on purpose to get people on a collective. If you think about it, it's quite bizarre. The caffeine addiction in the world, the coffee carts and the addiction, and
It
I think
is.
it's a way. I believe, this is me, is it's another form. People talk about fluoride, but I'm wondering if that caffeine is another disconnect from source.
Wow, you make such a point, and I can't say everything that I know that I know now.
It's a
I can't
huge
say that.
drug,
Yeah,
you
but I
know.
can't say that it's. You could be wrong about that. It's very possible, isn't it? With everything that's been going on, and then we finding out, it's very possible that you're right about that.
That was just snuck in there as well to see if we can distract these people
Yeah.
from actually connecting with source and sorting out these things.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think that we need to. I think we need to get in there, and I think we need to do that. I think it's important for us to move forward. And like you said, some people may not transition over or the way we think, but I think if we can help other people, if we can help people do that, and to also let them know that, everybody says, oh, it's hard work, and well, yeah, okay, in the means that of you're maybe taking time to do it. But like I said, if we can get less of those distractions and find somebody, whether it's doing Tai Chi, whether it's doing Qigong, whether it's doing meditation, whether it's, you do something on the internet, whether you do something on YouTube, or you go to a class, or you just spend more time in nature, and touching base. I think we all know how to do it. We have that knowledge.
Of course we do. Even if
We
we
do.
think we don't, we have it somewhere in us. We have it.
And we're allowing the distractions
Yeah.
to keep us from that. But I actually believe, I'm wondering now that this is the time we really do need to. We need to all get on that bus of kind of getting us, because I don't think it's good. Like I said, you look at history, and it's there's a lot of things that weren't good there, but and there'll be a reason for it. I believe there is a reason for it, but now there's a reason for this now as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that about caffeine or coffee. It's one of the teachers that I listen to. My thing is to have one coffee a day. I didn't have it for years. It was suggested I come off coffee completely, and I did for many years. And then when we had the lockdown, my daughter moved back home, and she drinks a coffee. She drinks one a day, and the smell of it is like so tempting that I give into it, And so now I have one coffee a day. But I was wondering about Tim Wilde. Why was he trying to get rid of having any coffees in a day? He's just done that. He's just come through that detox, and because he had thought he was drinking too many coffees, and then suddenly he said, oh, that even he was reducing it, and even at the reduced level, he just wanted to get the coffee out of his diet.
Yeah.
There might be something in that. It's like they talk about the fluoride, and they talk about, because the fluoride is what dimming down the third eye, isn't it? They talk about fluoride having that ability.
Calcification of the pineal gland. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Just
Yes. Pineal gland.
snipping that connect.
Yeah, that's right. And so I mean, there's so much in the world that's been done that we are finding out about. We suspected, we wondered, but I mean, Coca-Cola. I mean, Coca-Cola is like one of the biggest drugs on the planet. and and you think about Coke, the history of Coke, and how much sugar it contains, and what that high amount of sugar does to the body, and some people I know drink Coke like for every meal of the day, and I don't understand it. And then they have health issues, and then they say, well, the doctor hasn't told me it's a bad thing to have, so it can't be the reason why I have kidney problems.
Yeah.
You
think with the caffeine, with people getting, Starbucks has done really well, haven't they? And so you think of the coffee manufacturers and the the doubles and triples and the shots and the shots and the shots. That heart of everybody is just going flat tacker
really fast. Wow.
Yeah. And some people say that we have every heart of every body, vehicle, vessel, whatever you want to call this thing, has a finite number of beats. And so if you can kind of have that peaceful calm and you got your heart just going lumpity, thumpity, lumpity, thumpity, lumpity, dump, just doing that, as opposed to triple shots all day long, I think,
yes,
what torture, it's like you get to your however many billions of beats and you're left, I don't know.
We have to be kind to our bodies at the end of the day, because for those of us that are not wondering about this yet, there comes a time you might just have to, because the body is going to say, no more, I don't want that. And you know what, if you're not listening, then I'm just going to be shutting down certain parts of it. So you do pay attention,
Most people, do you know when most people actually really start to make a change? When they're lying in the hospital bed with the hospital gown and they're just like, how did I get here? What happened? And you're just like, wow, what did I do wrong? It's like,
yeah. And what we're saying is you don't have to get to that point of hospital bed.
Right. Prevent,
prevention is better than cure, they say, and I think it's true.
And trying to make it simple. And I think too, I know I don't want to pick on coffee people. I'm not, that wasn't my intention.
No. It's just an example of something, that's all.
I think moderation, I think everything's, and we know, we know whether it's okay for us or not. Really? Yeah. I mean, we all know. Everybody knows. We do. Yeah. You can try to
but the heart speaks and the body does. Even if you want to close your eyes or block it out, your heart speaks. And your gut feeling. That's why we talk about things like gut feeling. What's your feeling about it? What's your gut telling you about something? Because the body speaks, definitely, various ways.
It does.
I was going to ask. So tell me about this. I was going to ask you to tell us about your work as a peaceful, a facilitator of peaceful calm. But you've told us already that you're doing Qigong, and
in the community.
Yes, in the community, and that's what you offer. You have a real heart for community. I can tell from what you're saying to me. And so, was there anything else you wanted to tell us before? This is not the last part, the anything else question. This is about saying about the facilitator of peaceful calm. Was there anything else you wanted to tell us about you being that facilitator before we move to the next part?
No, so I teach in the community. I also train instructors. Okay. So I'm qualified to train instructors. That's my website is Smiling Dragon. Okay. So smilingdragon.co.nz. So there's a lot of stuff in there, and I try to put a lot of information on there. And I'm happy to give information as well. Anything that I've done, I don't have intellectual property of anything. So I totally believe in people not reinventing the wheel. And so if I've already done something, I'm a bit OCD and things, and so I like to make pretty things and stuff. So I'd say to my instructors, they're like, oh, I'll need a handout. I said, I've already done that. I'll just email it to you. Don't do it again. Change it. I'll give you the Word document. You can change it however you want, But so I just like to share. I like to share. I think it's really important that if we have something that we share it and we stay really humble. I every time I go to my classes every day or my workshops, so I do travel around the country and to train instructors and to help them out, mentoring. I always keep myself at the same level. I'm not, I call myself, I don't actually call, I have a title of master trainer, but it just sounds too arrogant. That's the official title that the international body has given me. But
Okay.
I call myself a sharer, you know, because we're all sharing, we're all here. And I actually learn. When I share, I learn. So I often say to people, like, I might train them, and they're like, oh, I'm not ready yet, Tamara. And I said, yes, you are. I said, you know, could you sit down and teach somebody to breathe diaphragmatically? I am a breathe coach as well. It's so important to learn to breathe. I know it sounds silly, but it's really important
It's
to
not
breathe.
at all silly. We forget to
And
breathe. Yeah.
yeah, look, I say to people all the time, do you know how to breathe? And they're like, well, obviously I'm here.
No, I don't think so. I think we forget when we're in stress mode.
breathing effectively, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. We forget to do
And so
that.
breathing's important. And so I'll say, listen, if you could sit down and just connect with somebody that's sharing, you just start tomorrow. I just say to people, they'll come and I'll do some training. And they say, oh, I'll do some more. I said, no, just start tomorrow. Find a friend, find a neighbor, find a colleague, and just say, hey, listen, can I show you this, 1 minute thing, and and when you share, you learn. You can't just study in a book for your entire lifetime and think, okay, at some point I'll be ready to teach and to share. No, when you share, when you teach, when you share, that's when you learn.
Yes, I
That's when you're
agree.
going to get it. You're not
Yeah.
going to get it until you
Yeah.
share it. You are not going to get it. You can say, oh, I'm going to get it. I have to get it first. I want to know it first. I want to get it first. No, 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 no. You share it, then you get it.
Yes. So it's very much a concept of I learn to teach and then I teach to learn. Yeah, because I've had that because of my work as a training consultant. I often found I obviously had to learn the thing that I needed to train other people to do. And then when you actually do the training, there's so much more you learn about the thing you're training or you're teaching uh, because quite often you're learning from other people's minds, and we're
Yeah.
such creative beings that and the perspective is not only one or the other or just these two. It's various things, and you think about all this creativity humans have, and then when you put something in front of them and how each one's perspective is very different. Because that's it, we're not meant to be programmed, we're meant to be coming here and being creative. So I like it because what you're saying about sharing and learning, it's the best way, and there's no insecurity. I mean, you clearly don't have issues with sharing your stuff. And you're not having this thing of, oh, had to go through all this time and effort to do these things, and I'm not giving it to other people because they did nothing for it. That's really selfish of a lot of people who do it. But it's understandable why they want to keep their thing as authenticated as theirs. But why go and try and get people to reinvent the wheel when you, like you say, when you already have the stuff there? You don't have to do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think trying to make it simple too, I think, and I don't know, without getting down into any kind of rabbit hole stuff, whether there was a plan, an evil plan for it all. But I think that a lot of things have been made to sound like they have to be really complicated. Like you've got to have a 10 years of doing this, and in order to do this, you've got to do that. And, you can't get enlightenment until you've done this, or you can't do this. And I'm just wondering, I'm suspicious that that's all been there again as a distraction, because I actually think, to be honest, we could all at a very, very young, early age be connected and do things really easily. And I don't think you have to struggle. I don't think you have to, I mean, you and I could go away for it would probably take me 3 months to download everything that I could share with you. But do you need that? No.
Yes.
Could I show somebody something that they did for a minute a day which I'm happy to share a couple of things. But there's one thing I shared to say to people. I said, listen, don't do anything else. Don't do anything. All I want you to do is this one movement. And I said, if you don't even come to class again, but you did that every day for the rest of your life, I have a really strong feeling it's going to be amazing. So why does somebody say, okay, you've got to do this for an hour, you've got to do that for this, and you've got to do it this time, and you've got to do it that time, and you've got to spend this much time, and you've got to sweat, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do that? What if that's not true?
Exactly. And what about, you know, to empower people? It's a very good thing to be able to empower them with something that's quick and easy, and not with suffering, and without suffering, because as soon as you know you have to spend, I don't know, 1 hour doing something, like, can you afford 1 hour to do that one thing in a day, given the lives we live, the busy lives, all of that, right? And all the responsibilities we have. So no, I think you're onto something there. I agree with that. And I like that. I've noticed a lot of Qigong instructors do this. They give you two things or one thing, and it can empower you for a long, long time. It doesn't have to be this tedious process of that many things, and then you're like, oh gosh, I can't remember everything. I have to write it down to remember what I'm gonna do.
And then you're not feeling. It's about feeling. You know,
exactly.
You can get it. Okay, learning's good. It's great, and that's the yin and the yang, a balance. You've got the yin, which is nighttime, quietness, stillness, feminine, not a gender. Healing. That's your yin, and then daytime yang is activity, thinking, moving, challenging, pushing ourselves a bit, learning and stuff. So it's about having that balance, you know, time of that yin and that yang. So learning is good, but not to the point where you're always in your head, you know. And that's what I say to people. Most people are going around the world and they've got their head, and you've got your body. And most people are being drug around their day by their head. Their head, you know, and that's why you get, like, for falls prevention, one of the main things I say for people falls prevention, I said, first of all, you need to get in your body. You know, you're here on the planet with your body, and you're just, everything's in the head. It's like, oh, I want that. And so you go and you go do that. But, you know, I said, well, you need to connect it, you know,
align it.
So maybe we say, oh, I want to go do this, you know, maybe have a little touch base. Does this vessel want to come with you? Or are you just going to do it around, you know? And so it's just connecting, having that little, bringing that to a connection, as opposed to everything being here.
Yes, indeed. So I was going to ask, how does what you do apply to the modern day? But I think you told us already. In so many ways, you told us about what we can do. And at this point, I want to ask this question: where does the smiles come into your name? I meant to ask that earlier, but I'm just going to ask that. I do like to hear that, please.
It's actually a really lovely story. So when I did some of my Qigong training, and then in the middle of that, because my mom moved here from the States, I imported her with my father, who's here. And they're very technical. Like, they were in the States. I remember when I was younger, they had one of the first computers, which, you know, fit into a room. It was like, the dining room had to be taken out because the computer went in the whole dining room.
Oh, wow.
You know, and you think of the phone that we have now. Anyway, so she was very technical. I wasn't interested in that. Being a zoologist, I'd just rather be outside with animals and in nature. Anyway, so she decided when she was here that I needed to have a computer, and I needed to have, and then when I did that, she said I had to have an email. So I was like, okay. So she's teaching me about emails, and then she said, right, you do your first email, and we're talking on the phone. And she said, send me an email. And then, so I did that. That was easy. I put, you know, hi, Mom, love, Tamara. And then she said, right, okay, send it out to some of your friends or somebody. And so when I went to send the first one to somebody that wasn't like a relative or something like that, I thought, what do I put? Like, do you put sincerely? Do you put cheers? Do you put yours, you know, truly, or regards, or whatever? And none of it made sense. And so my very my very first email ever, I put Smiles Tamara.
Ah,
And
I
so that
love
was
that.
my very first email back on that old computer, was Smiles, other than to my mom. She got love, Tamara. But then I put Smiles. And then when I did my training, and I did a little bit of the research on my Chinese astrology, I'm a dragon. So I'm an Aries, which is a ram, and then I'm a dragon as well, which is double trouble.
Okay.
So I'm a dragon. And so that's how I got Smiling Dragon. So I just put my signature from my first email, and then I was a dragon, so my business became Smiling Dragon because of how I signed my stuff. And
Oh, wow. I'm going to share something with you on Telegram later. Tim Wilde does he does a Monday meditation. And it was either on the Monday meditation or his little chat that he had with somebody called David Esri, that he talked about the grid of the planet having something to do with the dragon. And I think you might have an appreciation for that. It just popped into my head earlier. And now you said this, and I was like, oh, okay, I probably should share that with you, but I will share it with you. I really love that. And it's never occurred to me before. Why don't you say smiles when you I won't be taking your smiles, but you know what I'm saying.
You can have it. Go for it. Everybody can have smiles.
Smiles instead of kind regards or bye, or you could say smiles. And it's just amazing. It's something that will make you smile automatically. You'll
and then I've added, so now it's peace, love, and smiles. I've added. It's a bit longer now on my emails, but I just thought, well, it's also a very subtle way to connect with people. It's like subliminal in a way. It's a way for me to reach people that maybe I'm not reaching another way. I can, it's, maybe they see that and people are like, smiles, like, if you read that, you're going to be like, it's not like, it shouldn't make you feel grumpy. You might think, it's silly, why did she do that? But you might be smiling when you did it. So I'm like,
exactly. And even if you thought it was silly, for example, I never thought it was silly, but if you did think in that moment, that's silly. But if they started to talk to you about it and you heard this and you were like, oh, okay, that's just so amazing.
And everybody's just used to it,
I love it. I think it's amazing. I feel like it has some Native American connection to it. I don't know why, but that's what I thought when you've sent, after telling me about your Native American heritage. I thought when you put Smiles Tamara, I was like, okay, maybe that's got something to do with Native American. And maybe I'm saying that now out of ignorance, but what if there's a point to it? Because you have this heritage.
Could be.
So I was going to say, well, can you tell us how to apply peaceful calm in this time and space? And I'm going to leave it for later on because before we go, you're doing a mindful practice with us. And so I'll leave it for you to do that rather than to tell us about this peaceful calm then. So before we get your contact details from you so that people can find you if they're interested in doing a Qigong class or training with you, is there anything you want to leave our audience with today?
I think probably back to that love. I think if we can have that smile within and we can love, I really believe, just like that smile starter, if we have love, if we walk the talk, it's going to rub off. And I think people think, oh, what could I do? What does it matter? I can't do anything. I don't believe that. I think we can. And I think one at a time, if we lead by example and we lead with love and we lead with compassion, it's huge. Because what if we just connect with one person and that other person connects with one person? So if we can have that love and that compassion, and also, have that forgiveness. So say we say something wrong. Say our tongue was connected to our liver into anger and frustration. At some point, it got disconnected from the heart and it went over to your liver and something came out of your mouth. And we know straight away if it's not love, compassion. And so to be able to say, oh, sorry, actually, you know, even if it's not straight away, you can call up and say, listen, that was not good.
Yeah.
That was not coming from love. And so can I replay that? Can we do that again? You know, and being humble. I think if we can just do that and be real, I think we can just all be more real. I think that would be my thing, is to just have that love and compassion. Try to have it all the time.
Yes. And even if you're doing it on your own, there's a lot of other people doing it that we don't know are doing it.
Yeah.
And as a collective, you know, you don't have to be part of a group to do it. You can, like you were saying, you do it on your own, because inadvertently all of this lightness will connect, and we are the ones that will transform this planet with
And gratitude.
all of that
Yeah.
gratitude, thankfulness.
Perfect thing. We were away for the weekend. My husband and I went down to Cambridge, and on our way we needed to get some petrol, so we pulled over into Topari on our way down. And oh my gosh, there was so many people there, and they were short staffed at the BP. And
Right.
this lady, there was one doing coffees and stuff, you know, for the coffee addicts that need them. And then this lady, you know, they've got two tills. She was, I was watching her, and there was a queue. There was, like, I was back. Each side had probably 10 people queued up in two. She would go to one till, get it sorted, and while the person was paying, she jumped to the other till. Hello, how are you? And she was smiling the whole time. And so when I came up, I just said, listen, I'm going to hold up the line. And I spoke really loudly. I said, I'm going to hold up the line for a little bit longer, because I would just like to show my gratitude for not only your incredible, amazing work, but you are smiling and bouncing. And I said, most people would be going crazy. And I said, but what I've noticed is nobody has got shitty with you. And they are backed up. And normally they would, but because she was like, hey, how's it going? And then she jumped over to the other tail. Oh my God, okay, how you doing? I'll get this thing. Fill that in. Yeah, boom, over there. And she was just, but because she was projecting happy and joy in absolute chaos, this was chaos. She should have been losing the pot. People normally would have been yelling and arguing and screaming and hollering. And I just said, stop, everybody. Can we just say thank you to this wonderful person?
Yeah. Good on you.
And you want to know what? And everybody was like, yay.
Nice.
No, and
really
I said,
nice.
Please don't do that. So we can do that. Why can't we do that? Why can't we just give our appreciation to say, hey,
that's right.
This is insane what you're having to do, but you're doing it, and and amazing. So we can do that, can't we?
We can do that. We can acknowledge it. We can appreciate it. We can confess it. That we are appreciating
right
this
out loud.
This amazing. Confess it. That's it. Say it.
Out loud, so everybody can hear. You know.
Yeah. Good on you. Such a good thing to do. Oh, yeah. So then, tell us, where can anyone get a hold of you if they want to do the stuff? How can they get in touch with you?
So smilingdragon.co.nz.
Smilingdragon.co.nz.
.co.nz, and it's got all the information on there, and email on there, and I try to keep it up to date, but I do also keep a balance between my family and myself. And so, like, I think the front thing, I think I do need to update something on there, but anyway, I'm trying to practice what I preach and have a bit more balance. And so but
it's not the absolute urgent thing on the list, is it? It's not going to break or anything. So we don't have to do anything just yet. Just do it when you get to it, I guess. And I'm sure it'll be perfect. I'm sure it's perfectly fine. So I will also put that information in the description box so that anybody who wants to get in touch with you will know where by going into that.
All the information's on there. There's a lot of information actually on there.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity and in terms of everything you're doing for the collective, but also for your positive, amazing love platform that you provide to all of us. I really appreciate that. So mindfulness practice before we go.
Yeah, that'd be great. Can we do two things? So one, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to show you my go-to.
Okay.
Do you want Rose as well?
Yes. Oops. Here we are.
Put my glasses on.
I'm going to have to go back a little bit. Too close to the screen.
This is called Tao Inner Smile. This is kind of a cool.
Nice.
This is a cool shirt. Yeah, it's what
I love the print on it, the sun, and wow, that's just amazing.
Yeah. Little things. It actually, if I wear it, people often smile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So anyway, so this is a beginning to a lot of Qigong and a lot of Tai Chi at this beginning. So if you stand with your feet shoulder width apart, and just feel your feet, and so nice and solid, you feel that connection, and hands down to the side. Yeah. And so I just want you to turn so the palms are facing backward, and you're going to bring the back of your hands up, stretched out in front of you. And then you bend your elbows and come back in, and you push down, and you sink in your knees. And so what I want you to do instantly, without thinking too much, so you're stretching out, shoulder height, and coming back in. And I want you to exhale when you go down, and breathe when you come up. And I want you to feel lighter. You're still connected, but you feel that lightness. And then I want you to feel a little bit heavier. When you bend your knees and you're connected with the earth. And so you're breathing, drawing up, and you can even expand, open your fingers so you can actually expand and draw it in and relax as you exhale and put down. Put the hands down. So you're drawing up energy from the earth, circulating it through your body and reconnecting. So if you can do this anytime during the day. I even say to people, if you're at an office or somewhere, go to the toilet if you need to, go to the loo and just sit there and do it. If you can get outside in nature, you can do this in the morning before you go to bed. If you did this, and it doesn't matter, say you did it for 10 seconds, or you might find one time that you did it for 10 minutes. So, I can show you so much more complicated things. But this is simply something where you're just connecting, and you connect. Feel that connection with the earth. And breathe and feel the lightness up above. So it's a really simple thing to do. Like I said, it's the beginning of a lot of Tai Chi forms. Many Qigong sets start with this. It has different names. Drawing over the barrel, or just commencement. Can be just commencement. But it's actually a really simple thing to do. And like I said, imagine being outside and having your feet on the grass and feeling the grass and the dirt. Imagine being on at the beach with the water going underneath your feet. Or imagine you're in the bush and you just stop and you're just smelling that beautiful New Zealand. We have such stunning, beautiful bush smells. It's crisp and it's clean, and you can draw it in. There's dry leaves maybe crinkling underneath your feet. So it's just about feeling and experiencing and doing something simple and drawing it in. So that's like to me, that's one of the things that I show people for a standing movement. That, like I said, I can teach you. We can do a long form set, which from start to finish would take 10 minutes. The Soon 73 long form, we can do that for 10 minutes, and I could, maybe take 5 years to teach it to you. It could be, I love it. I love doing the Zoom 73. I love doing the long form. I do it in the Thursday morning. But I think a lot of people need something simpler.
That's right.
Why can't it be simple?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So the other thing I thought we do is a little meditation. Do you want to have a little explore of your universe?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So if you're comfortable, I'll do it as well so you can feel comfortable. So I'm going to close my eyes. And you can, some people like to bring their palms together. Some people like to put their hands together like this. or you can do this. Does everybody know why you do this? I asked this in class. I said to some people, I said, well, how come when you go to church, why do people pray with their hands together? And they're like, because everybody else is doing it. And I said, did you ever ask? No. We've got this beautiful logong point in the palm of our hands, and it's one of the most powerful energy, which is why when some people that are healers or nurses and doctors and people that are just even, you know, a grandmother or grandfather cuddling their grandchild, that desire to hold and touch comes from this energy in the palm of our hand. So when people pray, they're connecting that, and it builds a circuit connecting to your heart and your energy center. Some people, it's the same thing if you do this and you're meditating and you have this, I'll hold it up so you can see it, but if some people have that down in their lap, and then, you know, in some countries, they'll do that and they think, oh, it's because it's exotic, it's Indian. Well, it's doing the same thing. You're connecting the logong point. It's just in a country where it's hot, because if you're doing this or this, your hands get sweaty. And so they discovered that you can have the same connection by connecting the thumb and the middle finger. So this is all the same. It's just if you're in a hot country, you're not going to sweat so much. Practical. So you decide how you want to sit. Okay. I'm going to close my eyes and just touch base with the breath. Check you're feeling comfortable on the chair, and please feel comfortable to move. A lot of people try to remain still and our energy is not still. So if you need to move and wiggle and sway, please feel free. Just allow your body that freedom. So I'd like you to feel there's a gentle pull from your crown. Some people like to connect with a solar system or a star. I quite like Beetlejuice because I think it's a cool name. So I'll connect with Beetlejuice and just feel that that's your golden string that kind of supports you so that it's effortless for you to sit. Have your tongue up the palate, so it's just resting gently up on the roof of your mouth. It's also another connection to your energy. And so now I'd like you to just feel your body, feel it's relaxed. If you can, keep your feet flat on the floor. So both feet are, instead of cross-legged, your feet are nice and comfortable, but connected to the earth. So I'd like you now to explore above your head, explore into the universe. And I'd like you to try, if you can, to visualize golden, like it can be a golden sparkles or a golden rainbow, golden fairy dust, golden waterfall. Just think of this beautiful gold and think of it shining and healing and warm and gentle and kind and loving and caring and nurturing. So think of this gold and sparkling. Think of it kind of spiraling over your head. And I'd like you to find this flowing into your body. So either like a waterfall or like gold fairy dust. I like it to come into your body and into your brain. And I'd like you just to spiral it around your brain and send your gratitude, send your love to your brain. Having this ability to learn and to store knowledge. It's wonderful to say thank you to your brain. Allow it to spiral and soften into your eyes. Feel your eyes glisten. Feel them soften, feel them relax. You're going to be looking inward. So take an extension of those eyes, this golden energy softening, allowing you to look inside. Allow your face to relax, this golden energy, waterfall. Golden sparkles is softening your face. And I'd like you to come to your mouth and I'd like you to put a smile on your face. And just feel the gentle corners of your mouth. Bring a smile and feel what it feels like to smile. Feel that glow and that tingle in your body. and in your mouth. And if you get an extra bit of saliva in your mouth, it's called a golden elixir. You can swish it around like mouthwash and swallow it down. It's lovely. Sometimes you can get extra chi. So if you do find you get extra saliva, you can just swallow that down into your body. If your eyes tear, that's wonderful. That's detoxifying. So just allow your body to feel and do whatever it needs to do. So we're now going to have that connection from our mouth and our eyes and our brain. We're going to go down into our throat and just let that soften, smiling into your throat. Being grateful, send your gratitude to being able to speak with the larynx. Think of your thyroid gland. Beautiful thyroid glands. Say your gratitude. It's beautiful hormones and regulators. There's your thymus gland. We don't often talk about that. It's beautiful. It's really big when you're a tiny child. It's part of your immune system, and it does shrink a bit as we age, but have a little smile to your thymus gland. It's just below the thyroid, before the heart. Now I'd like you to flow into your lungs. Beautiful lungs. Compassion in your lungs. Courage. So ultimate optimism and courage. We want to fill your lungs with courage and optimism. Breathing with every breath, feel you're going deeper into your lungs, opening your lungs, connecting inside yourself in this beautiful universe inside. And I'd like you to spiral this golden energy to your heart. And I want you to feel that love. Love yourself. And there's an abundance. There's so much love in your heart. So much to share. And to feel your heart beating. Feel the love and joy and compassion. And from that heart, I'd like you to take a little spiral down towards the kind of the middle, down the esophagus to the stomach. And say thank you to your stomach for turning your food into that start of the nutrients for this body that you have. And then your small intestine travel into there. That's where all your nutrients come from. So send your gratitude to the small intestines for taking nutrients out of the food in your body. And then from your small intestines, put your large intestine. That's going to take all the toxins out of your body and your waste. And send your gratitude to the large intestine. Smiling to this universe inside. Checking your posture every once in a while. And align yourself if you need to. Nice relaxed breath. Let's spiral to your left-hand side, to your liver. And the liver is a beautiful place for kindness and generosity. Kindness and generosity. Again, working through detoxifying and cleansing our body. And that spiral to that lovely spleen on that left-hand side behind the pancreas. So the pancreas and the spleen and the stomach are all connected. They're the earth element. We ground ourselves to the earth, connecting. And let's go back to your kidneys. Most people have two. Some people have one. So the kidneys are connected to your ears. So listen to yourself. Get in touch with yourself and listen. And just smile into the kidneys. There's gentleness. Fear and stress can overwhelm the kidneys. So we want to have that gentleness and trust. Trust in yourself. Connecting with the true self, your source. Trust and gentleness in their kidneys. And we're going to move out through our bones. I want you just to float through the bones in your body. You can float down through your legs and your feet. Beautiful bones from to your spine, your vertebrae, out your arms, the skull, your jaw. Allow yourself to think about your skeletal system and smiling, sending that healing energy, smiling within. And then thinking about your lymphatic system and other systems of the body. Send your gratitude. Feel the glowing inside. And now I'd like you to just collect back up to your brain. We have a place in our brain called the Crystal Palace. And in that Crystal Palace, we have an abundance. We can come back at whenever you want to. This golden connection with this healing energy is there at all times. It's in abundance. You can tap into it whenever you need to. That's a good thing to do before you go to bed. Feeling your feet on the ground. I'd like you just to wiggle your toes. And maybe just wiggle your fingers. And before you open your eyes, I'd just like you to open them just a little bit so you're just looking down. Still feeling yourself nice and relaxed and calm. Slowly blinking and opening your eyes up a little bit more. Wonderful. So that's that inner smile. And it's something you can do. And you don't have to have there's no right way around. It's not like you have to start here and you have to start there and do it this way or that way. Any way you do it is beautiful. And however you do it, it's going to be the right way. It's just taking time to connect. And it can be short and it can be long. It's a lovely way if you have trouble going to sleep at night and you're lying there to just try to go through that. You might need to go and get a little book to find out where your body's bits are. It's a good idea to know where everything is.
It is a good idea to know where everything is in the body. Just look at the diagram. Look at a diagram online on Dr. Google. You can have a look at the diagram. Dr. Google. Wow, that was beautiful. That was amazing. I always find when I do Qigong practices, it always comes back and visits me later on. I feel it brings me back to center. It calms me, and somewhere in the day something will happen that will make me realize I had the benefit of doing a practice in the morning, and this is why I feel as energized as I do, or this is why I feel as calm and pain-free or whatever in that moment. So thank you so much for that wonderful, wonderful practice for us. Appreciate
and make it simple.
So
like I say, make it simple. Don't think, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. Or maybe because you've already done it, we've just done it now. Maybe you just can connect quicker and just without going through in detail, you just feel it. Just feel this.
Yeah.
Support this connection because it's there. Who's got to tap in?
It's
tap in. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Tamara, thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure.
I know. Thank you. So appreciating of your time. I know that we said it was going to be 45 minutes and it has gone over 45 minutes, but I thank you that you were available for that time to do that with us. So I will put all your details in the description box for our audience so they can get in touch if they are wanting to do some practice with you or even become an instructor. So that will be in the description box when we publish the video. So before we go, I'll let you say goodbye to everybody and then I'll do the end.
Wonderful. So thank you, everybody. And keep smiling, keep loving, love yourself, love other people, send your gratitude, let people know your gratitude. It's just beautiful. And just smile at people walking down the street. It's wonderful when you smile at somebody. And sometimes they'll be like, do I know her? And they walk past you And they're like, oh, I don't know that I know her, but she looked like she knew me. But they're smiling. So it's like, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Spread
Wonderful.
it, share it, make it infectious. That could be our new infection. Infection should be love and smiling.
That's the one. That is the one. I really like that infection.
New pandemic. Yeah,
Yeah.
love.
That's the virus is love. And the virus is smiling. Smiles.
Let's spread it. Yeah.
It spreads smiles and love. That's an awesome virus to have.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much again. So appreciate you. Well, everyone, thank you for joining me again on the Great Awakening Generator. And I am so blessed today to have had Tamara, or Smiles Tamara, with me. And I know that someone out there, one of you, is going to be saying exactly the same thing, at least one of you. Okay, I'll catch you next time. So keep reaching for the stars. I am your host, Rose McNair. Bye-bye.